That goddamn MC Hammer, very serious about beef.
Whenever there's a crime, some crooks are gonna do time. They all better beware, cause the Hammerman.
As soon as I leave out or the music go off, it's gunshots, it's fingers getting cut off, it's hustling at the highest level, it's everything that you could imagine negative.
Ever wondered what happened to MC Hammer when he was in jail? Well, let's break it down for you. Back in the day, MC Hammer was a big name in music, known for his moves and catchy tunes. But then, things took a turn. Rumor has it, he got into some trouble and ended up behind bars. Now, what really went down there? Some say it was about money problems, others talk about legal issues. Whether you're a fan or just curious, understanding his time in jail gives a whole new perspective on his journey. So, let's dive in and uncover the real story behind MC Hammer's stint behind bars and also his gangs and thug side.
Anybody who talks come to the Bay Area, they was in for it. Cause we seen it, I seen it.
MC Hammer, the famous rapper from the 90s, got into trouble with the law. Here's what happened. It all started when Hammer was sitting in a parking lot in his friend's car. A police officer came up and knocked on his window. Now here's where it gets interesting. The car Hammer was in wasn't his. It belonged to a friend and the car's registration had expired. That means the car wasn't legally allowed to be on the road. This is why Hammer got into trouble in the first place. But here's the kicker. The trouble didn't stop there. The officer asked Hammer if he was on parole or probation. While Hammer was trying to show his ID, the officer reached into the car and tried to pull him out. Hammer said the officer wasn't exactly in shape and had trouble getting him out of the car. Hammer, being a famous person, went on Twitter to talk about what happened. He called the officer a chubby Elvis-looking dude and made fun of the officer's weight. Hammer said the officer was on a steady donut diet and couldn't pull him out of the car because of it.
To see our own kids continuously shot down, lives devalued.
According to TMZ, the Dublin Police Department has yet to release a statement about the arrest. It was comical to me until he pulled out his guns, blew his whistle, and yelled for help. Mall cop. But make no mistake, he's dangerous. The only thing more dangerous than a scared man with a gun is a scared man with an agenda, a gun, and a badge. I was cited for obstruction. So why did Hammer get arrested? Well, it was for something called obstructing an officer. This means the police thought Hammer was making their job harder on purpose. Hammer says he wasn't being difficult and that the officer overreacted. Rumor has it that Hammer's arrest might be part of a bigger problem. Hammer and others believe that African Americans are often unfairly targeted by police. Hammer said this is something he tried to fight against when he was more active in the public eye. Added Hammer, who is also a tech entrepreneur, "You have to know me to understand I was laughing when he was grunting and pulling on me. I had just left the weight room. I will now answer his question. Contrary to his personal beliefs, all people of color are not on parole or probation, fat boy." This was definitely the new McHammer. If this incident had occurred back then when McHammer was known as the most feared thug, the result would definitely be different. So let's delve into the reason why McHammer was the most feared thug.
Well, I grew up in a very negative environment, very negative and violent environment. So
Stanley Kirk Burrell, famously known as MC Hammer, was born on March 30th, 1962 in Oakland, California. He was the youngest of 7 children and grew up in a tough neighborhood filled with crime and poverty. Hammer's family lived in a small, cramped 3-bedroom house. His dad ran a poker club while his mom worked as a secretary. Despite these challenges, young Hammer found joy in dancing and writing poems. His inspiration came from his early idols, especially James Brown, whom he watched perform on TV when he was just 4 years old.
So I was out there hustling tickets, getting them from the ball players, and then reselling them and all that. And Vita Blue gave me a radio, and a James Brown record came on, and I started dancing to the record. And
Hammer's real passion, though, was baseball. Whenever he could, he'd head to the Oakland Coliseum to watch the local team. Here's where it gets interesting. One day, the team's owner, Charlie Finley, spotted 11-year-old Hammer dancing in the parking lot. Amused and impressed, Finley hired him to work in the clubhouse. This job allowed Hammer to travel with the team and make friends with many of the players. He even earned the nickname Little Hammer because he resembled baseball legend Hank Aaron.
And Reggie Jackson saw me and he said, you know, I was out at the Oakland A's ballpark, and he said, you look a whole lot like Hammer and Hank Aaron, so I'm gonna call you the Lil Hammer. And it stuck.
After high school, Hammer tried to pursue a college degree in communications and a career in professional baseball, but things didn't go as planned. Out of school, out of work, and out of luck, Hammer felt lost. Here is the kicker. He considered joining the illegal trades his friends were involved in, but instead, he joined the Navy. He spent 3 years in California and 6 months in Japan. After his Navy service, Hammer found a different path through the church. He studied the Bible intensely and even formed a religious rap duo called the Holy Ghost Boys. Although the duo didn't achieve commercial success, Hammer didn't give up. With $20,000 investments from his friends Mike Davis and Dwayne Murphy, Hammer created his own record label, Bust It Records. He assembled a dance group called Oaktown's 357 and put them through rigorous rehearsals that sometimes lasted 14 hours a day. In 1988, word on the street was that Hammer was making waves in the music scene. This led to a meeting at Capitol Records in Los Angeles. Hammer's music, dancing, and business skills impressed Capitol, and they signed him to a multi-album deal with a $750,000 advance. Here's where it gets juicy. His reworked album, Let's Get It Started, sold over 1.5 million copies. Touring and performing across the nation, Hammer continued working on his next album, Please Hammer, Don't Hurt 'Em. Rumor has it, Hammer predicted that his new album would break all rap music sales records, and he was right. Backed by a unique marketing campaign, the album's hit single, You Can't Touch This, sold over 5 million copies. The song even became the theme for the Detroit Pistons during their 1990 NBA championship run. By the mid-90s, MC Hammer was on top of the world.
You can't touch this. Can't touch this.
But here's where it gets even more interesting. Despite his success, there was a big gap between what the hip-hop community knew about MC Hammer and what mainstream pop culture thought they knew. While Hammer was dancing in his famous genie pants on top of the charts, many people overlooked the deeper story of his rise from the tough streets of Oakland to international fame. So, rumor has it that Hammer's family had strong connections in Oakland, especially during the era of Felix Mitchell, an infamous lord. The tales of Hammer's ties to powerful street figures in Oakland have been whispered in both the East Bay and hip-hop communities for years. Growing up, Hammer and his brother were affiliated with some of the most notorious street figures in Oakland, making them heavily connected in the neighborhood.
As soon as I leave out or the music go off, it's gunshots, it's fingers getting cut off, it's hustling at the highest level, it's everything that you could imagine negative.
Hammer's upbringing was anything but soft. He was part of the High Street Bank Boys, a group known for their reputation in East Oakland. High Street, a barren thoroughfare in the heart of the city, was just a block away from Hammer's childhood home. This part of town was infamous for gang fights, shootings, and homicides. But here's where it gets interesting. When Hammer made it big in the late 80s, he didn't forget where he came from. Instead, he put his entire neighborhood on his payroll, paying each person $40,000 to $50,000 a year to keep them out of trouble. As Hammer climbed the ladder of success and raked in millions, he saw his friends and neighbors hustling, selling, and getting caught in turf wars. To keep them out of jail and off the streets, Hammer essentially created a full-scale prison-to-work program. His entourage wasn't just dancers and relatives, it included hitters and dealers from all over, expanding beyond Oakland to San Francisco, Detroit, LA, New York, and the South. Here is where it gets juicy. Hammer wanted to use his platform to uplift his people and provide them with better opportunities.
So I wanted the music to take you away from that. That's why my music was always and remains something positive.
Yeah.
Life has enough negativity in it on its own.
During the peak of his success, Hammer faced criticism from various rappers who saw his dance moves and positive music and thought he was soft. But Hammer was anything but that. Words on the street were that disrespecting Hammer could put your well-being in jeopardy. He grew up fighting and boxing in East Oakland, and that aggression translated to the way he handled disrespect in the industry. I mean, he became the target of mockery in songs and music videos by numerous artists. It's worth noting that some of these disses were responses to perceived insults initiated by Hammer himself.
That goddamn MC Hammer, very serious about beef.
This fact became evident in an encounter that the rapper, Redman, had with MC Hammer. Red became animated in recalling Hammer's response to the record, telling Vlad, "That goddamn MC Hammer, very serious about beef. Y'all mueffas laugh and y'all joke about Hammer? No, 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 no. That'n was deep within. Anybody who talked shash, come to the Bay Area, they was in for it. 'Cause we seen it, I seen it, and he was very serious about beef. Oh, you gonna talk about my dancing pants? I'll see you." And he would whoop a N out.
Y'all laugh and y'all joke about Hammer? No, 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 no. That deep with.
In a 1994 interview on Rap City, MC Hammer mentioned that he had heard the skit Funky Uncles by Redman and it didn't sit well with him. He expressed his displeasure by saying, "Redman, when he came out with his album, he had a little skit on the front of it that says something about Hammer. So, to me, he's just another young upstart, so I addressed it on the album and put him in his place."
Yo, even when I said about Hammer, yo, I said, listen to my first album. When I did the skit, and I was like, you know what? That goddamn MC Hammer in the whole nine.
A year later, Redman found himself face-to-face with MC Hammer, 3 years after releasing the skit. It was evident that Hammer hadn't forgotten or forgiven the words from the skit. Redman recounted the encounter saying, "That guy came up to me on Yo MTV Raps during their last episode. He approached me and said, 'Red, I'm going to tell you something. You're young, but I won't allow anyone to talk about my mother. Do you understand me?'"
That approached me. He was like, "Red, I'm gonna tell you something. You young, but I don't allow nobody talking about my mama. You understand me?" I said, "Yes, sir."
Redman, recognizing the seriousness of the situation, responded, "Yes, sir." To provide context, Redman mentioned that before this encounter, the Hit Squad had been in the Bay Area and had almost faced a confrontation. He recalled, "We were already in Oakland with EPMD, and we almost had to leave quickly because they had people here, there, and everywhere, and it felt like we were boxed in. They weren't playing around, and we had to get out of there."
MC Hammer don't fucking play. And believe me.
Returning to the confrontation with Yo MTV Raps, Redman further explained, "He shook my hand and said, 'You're a young artist, and I appreciate what you do. But always remember, I won't tolerate anyone disrespecting my mother.'" In recounting the events to Combat Jack in 2012, Redman was even more descriptive, saying, "N think Hammer's a Hammer don't play, Hammer don't play. He dances and he's very athletic, and he'll whoop a NSA." Red also noted how conciliatory he was at the Yo MTV Raps encounter, saying his response when Hammer expressed his dissatisfaction about Red's words about his mother was, "Yo, Hammer, man, you was big. Look, man, I ain't got no beef with you, my dude. You a OG. I'm a young cat."
I was like, all right, man, you know what I mean? But I was like, yes, sir, MC Hammer. In other words, I got the message. I heard about you, and I seen your work, and what the 357 and all them could do. I seen that.
But that is not the only person McHammer had feuds with. Back in 1987, MC Hammer mentioned LL Cool J in his song, "Let's Get It Started." 3 years later, in 1990, LL Cool J responded with a diss track called "To the Break of Dawn." This song took shots at Kool Moe Dee, MC Hammer, and Ice-T. In the second verse, LL Cool J rapped some harsh lines aimed at MC Hammer, calling him an amateur and making fun of his hairstyle. When MC Hammer heard LL Cool J's remarks, he didn't take them lightly. Rumor has it that Hammer sent some of his crew to confront LL Cool J after one of his shows. An argument broke out, and it's said that LL Cool J got punched in the face. However, not long after, Hammer and LL Cool J met up, talked things out, and resolved their issues. They managed to get back on good terms.
That amateur swinging a hammer from a body bag. So run and get your camera.
While the beef between LL Cool J and MC Hammer settled down quickly, things got really juicy with another rapper. Third Bass, a rap group, got involved because they didn't like how MC Hammer dissed Run DMC, who had paved the way for many rappers. In their song The Cactus, Third Bass dissed MC Hammer by saying, "The cactus turned Hammer's mother out." This was a play on words with Hammer's album title, Turn This Mother Out. But Hammer didn't see it as a joke. He took it as a serious insult to his mother. Things got even more intense when Third Bass traveled to Los Angeles to promote their album. It all started when the rap group threw some serious shade at MC Hammer. Here's where it gets juicy. Third Bass decided to poke fun at Hammer in their lyrics. They mentioned something about a cactus and Hammer's mom, which was actually a clever play on words referencing their album The Cactus and Hammer's album Turn This Mother Out. But here's the kicker. MC Hammer didn't take it lightly. He saw it as a diss towards his mom, and if there's one thing you don't mess with, it's a rapper's mom. While Third Bass was out promoting their album, they had to stop in Los Angeles. And this is where it gets interesting. Before they even landed, a call was made to the president of Def Jam Records. Rumor has it, the call was from MC Hammer's brother, and he wasn't happy. He allegedly warned that Third Bass would be dead once they landed in California. Words on the street was that the Third Bass went in for a radio live section and MC Search was live on air. Suddenly, he felt the need to call out Hammer, and here is the kicker. He did it live. Search let everything off his chest and challenged Hammer to face him. Just a few minutes later, another call came through. This time it was from a man claiming to be from the Rolling 60s crew, and he declared he was about to Third Bass. Here is where it gets interesting. MC Search, part of Third Bass, quickly evacuated the radio station. Rumor has it that as they were driving off, a carload of Crips pointed semi-automatic weapons at them. Third Bass managed to finish their press run by disguising themselves until they left California. Over 20 years later, MC Search is still shook up over the incident and had to attend counseling therapy 3 times a week for PTSD. Hammer addressed the alleged $50,000 hit, calling MC Search's claims ridiculous.
He told this whole long story about how MC Hammer put a hit out on these dudes.
Yes, they
with
did.
With like the Crips in LA.
Yes.
To the point.
I believe it.
Now picture this. The next day, MC Search decided to take his girlfriend shopping at the fancy Beverly Center. Pookie gave the green light for the trip and tagged along. But here's where it gets even juicier. As Search was signing autographs, he noticed a group of men making their way towards him. They were getting closer and closer, and it wasn't for autographs. Just as things were about to get ugly, Pookie stepped in and stopped them. And then, in 1992, Ice Cube dropped a single called True to the Game, a song condemning Uncle Toms who sell out to white audiences. Many believed this was aimed directly at MC Hammer, who had a crossover audience. In the music video, there was a scene showing a rapper, apparently intended to be Hammer, transitioning from street clothing to a red sequin outfit, symbolizing his move to mainstream pop music. Hammer took it personally. One afternoon, Hammer and his entourage were hanging out at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Los Angeles. Suddenly, Hammer received a phone call that Ice Cube was at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in Hollywood. Hammer allegedly told the person on the phone to stall Ice Cube. Then he told everyone in the room to hurry up, and they rushed down the 101 freeway, turning a 10-minute drive into 5. When they arrived, Hammer confronted Ice Cube about the video, expressing that he didn't appreciate how he was portrayed. Ice Cube responded that he didn't mean it like that, but Hammer wasn't having it and told him never to let it happen again. Ice Cube allegedly responded, "No, sir, it'll never happen again." And shortly after, he wrote a formal apology to Hammer in the Source magazine. Hammer is no stranger to street drama, but sometimes it finds you even when you're not looking for it. Let's rewind to June 23, 1992. Hammer was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, participating in a charity softball game. Afterward, there was a barbecue for local kids and firefighters at Roosevelt Park. While people were enjoying themselves, a man rode by and threatened to shoot up the barbecue. Before Hammer could get everyone out, the man returned and began shooting from a moving vehicle. 4 people were shot, including 3 from Hammer's crew. Hammer's life in the mid-90s took another turn when he signed with Death Row Records in 1995. He finished an album, but it was never released after Tupac's death in 1996. Despite his street cred, Hammer never glorified that lifestyle. He always wanted to be a good influence on kids. Hammer is considered one of the pioneers of pop rap, influencing not just music but pop culture, catchphrases, slang, and the clothing industry. Too Short also spilled the beans about his feud with MC Hammer. This beef dates back to the late 80s and early 90s. Words on the street say that Too Short used some of his famous songs to diss MC Hammer, his neighbor. During a chat on the Questlove Supreme Pandora radio show, Too Short talked about his career and how he made it big. He shared stories about making special request mixtapes and getting support from local hustlers. He also talked about his successful partnership with Jive Records and executive Barry Weiss. But the real kicker came when he started talking about MC Hammer. Too Short was frustrated because Hammer was getting more media attention. He felt that while he was focusing on the music, Hammer was more about the dance moves and the flashy lifestyle. Too Short explained that in the Oakland hip-hop scene around 1990, his buddy E40 was also making waves. But Hammer, known for his dancing and his ties to the Oakland Athletics, was the one getting all the spotlight. Rumor has it that many of Hammer's friends went to the same high school as Too Short. However, at that time, Too Short didn't even know Hammer's real name. He just knew Hammer and his friend Ace as popular dancers in the clubs. Here's where it gets interesting. Short didn't realize Hammer was a rapper until Hammer's song Let's Get It Started came out. One day, Too Short saw Hammer with a big entourage and bodyguards. When someone asked who Hammer was, Too Short, feeling confident, said he didn't know and didn't care. He had heard about Hammer, but the dots hadn't connected until then. Short didn't like how Hammer became famous so quickly. He said he became more famous for acting famous, and then the music came with it. Too Short didn't want to follow Hammer's path of being flashy. He wanted to focus on the music. Questlove asked if Too Short's song, Short But Funky, was aimed at Hammer. The song had lines like, "You never catch me on the mic rapping a dance tune. I like it kinda mellow with the sound of the bass boom." Too Short confirmed it was a diss. He said, "I had a lot of songs that Hammer and Hammer references. They were neighbors, and they would talk trash about each other to their mutual friends.